Emo. Hello. Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to the Truth Revival. This is Amber Fields with my co-host,
Joshua James.
and our special guests, Nate and Stephanie Burner. Again, we are so excited to chat with you guys today, with my good friends, and to continue this deep conversation about who we are as humans, who we are as our spiritual selves, really deep diving into I am that I say that I am, and are we actually showing up in the world as our best selves? And if we're not, how do we get there? You know, Joshua, I just came off of being a part of the transformational leadership course that you and I met, and so I love to watch people get it. I love to watch people pull the onion layers back and go, my gosh, I had this inside of me the entire time. But no one showed me the path. No one showed me the way. I didn't know. So,
I always loved what Kelly East would say. And she said, this is not about learning something new. This is the art of remembering.
yes.
Bingo.
Yes.
I love that. Just every time she said that, like, it just made me emotional because, and that's where it's like when I have goosebumps going up and down my arms and I have an instant emotional reaction to something like that, it's because my core is affirming that it's truth. Right. So it is. It's we were made with a consciousness and a divinity, right? And it's the human experience that causes you to forget these things. So I love when she says that. It's the remembering.
Yeah, because when we are born, we're born with a blank slate. You know, we don't have anything. Our mind doesn't have anything. We're just spiritual beings created, and as we grow up, we begin filtering, and our parents begin teaching us the road of survival, and they don't realize that they're even doing it. You know, they're doing the best they can with what they have, and we become adults, and we're seeing everything from all these crazy, weird maps and filters, and it gets tough. You know, so that's why I'm really excited to talk to Nate and Steph tonight, because you guys have been on your own spiritual path for a long time. Steph, we kind of got into yours last week. I'd love to hear from Nate, like how your spiritual journey began and what caused you to go a little deeper.
Well, yeah, we touched on a bit of mine, like involving the diet last week. But as far as my spiritual journey, it starts from the get-go. My grandfather was a preacher. I went to a preschool that my mom taught kindergarten at. Well, she started as a preschool teacher as well, but ended up teaching kindergarten basically till I graduated high school. But I went to that school till I was in 6th grade. So in the Bible, mentally, and every Sunday pretty much, and all that happiness at the time, for the most of my young life.
Yeah.
So I guess I would say, like, just before, maybe a little before her diet expedition, I really was on, as I kind of touched on last week, it was always like definitely like racism, and then just little stuff like the JFK assassination, certain stuff about our system bothered me throughout that whole time. Certain stuff about the Bible. And both of my grandmas had told me before that there were times in like Sunday school or whatnot that those Sunday school teachers would say, wow, it's like he knows this, or he asked this question about the devil. And that's one that stuck with me, that actually was my dad's mom, that had brought up to me when I was later. And I still had the questions of the story of the devil. It just never made sense to me. Why is this angel casted from heaven and then tormenting, your God's creation? So that's one of the stories, besides all the verses that I were like, what does that mean? What does, it mean that I'm going to walk into a city and see a man with a pail of water? My journey has let me know where that could possibly and is talking about the age of Aquarius that we're entering. Aquarius is dumping a pail of water. So anyway, all that being said, I have all these questions about religion and questioning also our political world And the whole system that's set up, to me, like Amber, you said, we have a blank slate. Well, it's different for every person. And we're definitely seeing that today in the world, as far as like with just a subject like racism, where you're brought up, that canvas starts being painted, and that brain starts being directed a certain way. I believe, or started finding out, that religion was doing this, meeting certain people after I started meditating and changing my diet, like we talked about last week, Josh. I see certain things like that would remind me of the Bible. Now that I'm starting to open up as I change my diet, open my mind to, hold on, I'm going to look outside of the Bible, because I started hearing these voices of, Nate, you need to read here, you need to go there. So I followed that, and I see simple things like Elephant Meditation Journal. It was a site that I was following. Give them some props. But it talks about a simple meditation of, you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off. You don't get mad. You just say, there I go again, which reminded me of I am that I am in the Bible, which is Moses. Also relating to how we are, everything is inside of us. I am that apple. Everything's made of God, like you talked about last week, Josh. So that little piece of meditation then leads me to start questioning more. I'm in Buddhism now, and you touched on the chakras last week, Amber. You get into these cute little colors, and that is a different meaning for everybody. And I start finding out and remembering my grandpa. One of the things he told me that's never made sense. He preached in numerous denominations, and practiced just being a child of God. But one thing he always said, and he taught me a little bit of what he had learned how to read scripture, breaking it down, but that he'd always heard not to read Revelations. And one of the verses that always, like, what does that mean to me, were the seven candlesticks. It's as when Jesus comes back from resurrection. And I believe it's Peter. This says he showed me his seven candlesticks. And that's another meaning for these chakras that are energy centers. That also, so I'm in Buddhism, and now I find people in my life that I still talk to today that might be Muslim or just straight Buddhist or mainly lean to Hinduism, that are, they'll say the same thing. Nate, now look at this with the chakra system. And the one that really, I got into words, that I, make rap music and kind of love languages. We're diving into Spanish with our girls. I play with Spanish throughout my life. And the one word that really got me was this agnostic. And I also honestly went through a touch of angry atheist stage. And what are those words? It's atheist or agnostic. And that, when I heard that voice that we talked about, and I said, what is a Gnostic, really? And it also came on me, what is atheist? Which I also believe now to just be another form of religion. Because if you form yourself to just science, which I believe they divided all this, because it's all one, science and religion. I think that's the big secret. But anyways, Gnostic is the first form of Christianity, where then I learned the word Kundalini, which some would say that's evil, because this all can go either way. Kundalini is the chakra system. It is Moses holding that snake in the air, in that desert. It's our spinal cord, where all of that temptation runs through these energy centers, the heart, where you feel love or anger. There's two sides to all, and all of these thoughts, and it's beautiful. Now I don't rest. There's no resting on any of this knowledge, which that's why I admire both of you, is I feel like you can just never settle.
No.
And to tie on to just the I am that I am, where I was with the Kundalini, and then I'll kind of wrap it up for you guys to launch off from whatever you're feeling from what I've said. But the masculine and feminine, I think, is one thing that maybe we could touch on through the rest of this, that we need to understand we all have in us.
Oh,
That
100%.
if we see that the caduceus is that symbol with that's big right now. It's a health symbol. Let's think about this. They use this health symbol, the caduceus, that was used in India in ancient times. It's all over Egypt. And it's our spine that goes to that pineal gland, the spiritual highway, to have your wings. And it's the DNA strain climbing that spine, your feminine and masculine energy, your Jesus and Mary, to be crowned as queen. And you're both of those. And to me, that's the original marriage. That's what has helped our marriage, honestly. There was some other stuff in my life that's helped me be a better dad or husband, but understanding the marriage within me has helped, I think, us and her as well.
Definitely.
I don't know. So yeah, I'll stop there.
It's so fascinating. Joshua, what are your thoughts? Do you have a question?
Oh my God. So chakra work has always been something that has intrigued me. I fell into it probably a little younger than I was. I mean, I think everything's perfectly made for you, but I was young before I really didn't understand what was a chakra. How does it operate? What is, I was still trying to understand just energy, that we are beings of energy, or how like attracts like, and what I put out, I get back. And so chakras were always kind of a mysterious thing for me, right? I really didn't have a full understanding until I got into the art of Reiki. And I felt the energetic shift in my chakras post having Reiki done. But it wasn't something that I could totally understand. My first experience was the craziest experience. I'm laying on this table, and for those of you at home who don't know, Reiki is essentially opening up your chakra system to get a free-flowing sense of energy throughout the body. And this woman worked on me for an hour and a half, and at some point I just fell asleep. And she was just resting her hands above my body over my gut. And she was like, God, you are really stuck right here. Really stuck. She just kept saying that. She's like, I cannot get this to move. I cannot get this to move. All of a sudden, I hear my body go, blah, 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 blah. I was like, did I just shit myself?
It's the dragon. The dragon went in.
She goes, there it is. Finally, it moved. I was like, what was that, dude? And all of this stuff just cleared up. So I leave and I'm going home. I'm vibing high. I think I was listening to Ben Harper. I had the top down on my convertible. I full blown shit my pants.
Say what?
In the car driving down the street.
Really?
Whatever that was that became unstuck. And I mean, I'm telling you, it was like sludge. So
wow.
That was my first experience in Reiki. So I was like, I ain't going back. I shit myself. But it's like, that tells you how much energy can cause being stuck, right?
Yeah.
I actually recently here in Santa Monica, there's a crystal shop, and they have one of those 3D energy chakra reading machines. Have you seen these? So you stand there and it scans you, and it has you like turn and do all these other things. And then once it's done, you see the physical form of your body on the screen, and it's showing you, it almost looks like cones coming out. So it like opens like this, and it'll show you in the like the throat chakra, the heart chakra, the stomach, by way of protruding you, how much of energy you're carrying in that field. So I actually, the first time I did this, I was going through my separation with Michael, and my throat chakra was the smallest energy field, and my heart chakra was the biggest energy field.
Wow.
Which was complete alignment to how I was feeling, it's just, I think if we were to get into understanding how much energy consumes our life existence, I think that we would protect it and create almost a sense of romance with it, if that makes any sense. The other thing that struck me, in way of talking about food, I really got into the study. It's called the Energy Code. And they talk about how if you, just like the colors of your chakras, and like in art, you can neutralize certain things by eating fruits of the neutralizing color. So if you are angry, red, right? Red is anger. Green fruit neutralizes that. So by eating green grapes or green apples, you can completely kill the emotion of anger just by food.
Yes.
And by food alone.
That will help your heart so that the anger won't reside there.
Right.
And the heart chakra is green. So those greens help the green chakra as well.
That's crazy. I actually have my Reiki session tomorrow. I cannot wait.
Yeah, you've really been getting into it. Amber, talk about your experience with it.
It was crazy because I didn't necessarily believe in this stuff growing up. Steph, you and I have talked about this, and it was straight Bible beans, and just.
I don't really. Did we know about it even?
No,
I didn't know.
Well,
no, but anything.
I know what you mean, though, Amber. It's like not necessarily just Reiki, but a lot of
you stayed away from it.
It's demonized. It's
Yeah.
Witchcraft, like you touched on your sister last week.
Yeah.
Paganism.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So a friend of mine, it had actually come up a couple times, and everything, has energy. And I could feel, like Joshua talked about, you guys know I've had a lot of issues with my stomach and trying to eliminate dairy and gluten and all these things. Well, I carry everything, down here in my stomach. And I had a situation happen where I was carrying a lot of stress, and it was showing up in my gut, leaky gut, just all of these things. I'm full of toxins, and I didn't know how to break the energy barrier. Like, I didn't know how. So I'm taking on energy from food. I'm taking on energy from people, and I don't know how to move it, like say thank you for that and move it. I did not know how to do that. And even if I was doing it, I felt like I was still hanging on to some things. And so a friend of mine, Erica Ballard, suggested the Golden Gut with Amanda Thomas, and it has been fantastic. When I went there, well, the first time I did it was during COVID, because during COVID, I felt like I was losing my mind and falling. I was moving forward, but then falling back in some areas of my life where I felt like I had done a lot of work because I was isolated and lonely. And while, yes, I love my family and they are amazing people to be around, not all the time, and I'm an extrovert. So I'm like,
I've seen enough of y'all, okay?
We can all get sick of each other and ourselves.
Right? So I do this virtual session with her, and I'm thinking, I don't know how impactful this is going to be, but I'm going to lay on my bedroom floor and I'm going to do this meditation. It's going to be amazing. So I just set the intention that it was going to be good. And oh boy, was it ever. She sees, so we're in a field and she sees like very big, vibrant color purple all around me. She, she said, there is something that you're holding on to that you are not moving into, and you know what it is. She was like, don't be afraid. What if you fly? And I just started giggling because I was like, I know what that is.
Yes.
I was like, thank you for that. So I go see her in person the second time. And this is during whenever the Black Lives Matter stuff happens. And I am in fix mode. I'm heartbroken for my friends, for, I just feel like the world is falling apart, and it's so heavy. So I had been wanting the beach and the ocean and just craving sunshine to help kind of stabilize and equalize things for me. So I lay down on the table. She starts playing ocean music. I was like, that's weird. She's like, I said, how did you know that because I'm still a little bit like, is this shit real?
Yeah. like, come on.
Yeah, like, how did you know that? And she'd never even played it before. So then we are in it, and she said she saw over my chest. Well, it was like I'm laying in this ocean of water, and all of these tissues are absolved into the water. Like I don't have to carry it anymore. And I was very stuck in my heart and in my throat chakra, and because I couldn't say anything, I didn't know what to say. And she said she saw an armor, or like armor with a sword through it around my heart.
Wow.
And it was because I thought I had to fix it. And she's like, you are doing everything that you can in God's spirit and gifts that he gave you. So just keep doing that. And oh, by the way, that thing you keep hesitating on, I'm gonna need you to, you just need to go ahead and say yes to that. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, so every time it keeps coming up because I have a little bit of fear around it. I have some stuff. So, but where there is fear, there is no faith. And so I'm working through that on my own, but I believe in it. And I talked to my friend Kelly about it. And I talked to my sister, and I talked to you. I truly believe that it is okay to go find the tools and resources that you need in order to get to my best self.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have all the tools to help me get to where I need to be. And the first step into that is recognizing that I need to go find what's going to serve me and help me take it to the next level.
Yeah. Don't be afraid of what it is either. Even if no one else has done it before, do your due diligence like we talked about before and make sure that it isn't dangerous or, other people have had good experiences with it. I think that's pretty important. But it's also important for you to do what's right for you, what's on your path.
Yeah.
More people are going to open up to it because then you're going to experience it and you're going to be able to talk about it like you did with Reiki. And I'd like to mention there's also a form that's performed by nurses in hospitals called healing touch. So it that's not quite mainstream either, but they both should be. And I think more and more we'll see energy work become more mainstream because everyone's figuring out who they are again, right?
Yeah.
That is also what we're here to talk about. And that's not necessarily being woke, but waking up, being awake, and being in the moment. And like we said before,
before we jump in, hold on, Joshua, before we jump in, I want to ask the audience, are you being true to you? Do you feel like you are the best version of yourself right now? Post in the comments. Let us chat about that. We'd love to stir up some conversation around that for those of you that are watching. And say hi.
How are you pouring in? How are you giving to yourself? I think that's a great. We were talking before we got on about the power inside of you and not being afraid of that. And I know that I'm guilty of that, very much so. However, timing is everything, and things, I trust and I just know, but feeling that power all the time, no matter what I'm doing, no matter who I'm with, knowing that I have everything I need with me and inside of me. I think that's really important for everyone to know, and feeding yourself the right things. And like we said, thinking the right thoughts and following your path, finding the things that support you. That's how you get there.
That's right.
Yeah, I think some of that fear comes from what we have all kind of touched on, which is like whatever this culture does to you is such a big part. And one thing I think, like, there's so much about the purpose, or like I like to look at it as legacy. Like I feel like there's so much involvement in, like, are you doing it good enough or big enough? And I know I've went through this personally. So there was like a time when I was coaching where, like I spoke to last, how can I use any of this information I'm coming across in my life? So it's like to affect your world. They say you're going to change the world. I think it's more about your world, where you are. If it's one person, if there's one person watching this that something hits them, yay.
But I think it has to begin there, right? Like I think
it does. Man.
Every single person has the ability to change the world, but how can you if your world is chaos? How can you if you're living life from a place of fear and separation and self-abandonment and you know, opportunity and all the things, right? So I think it's impossible if you're living in chaos. Your inner world is chaotic. You know, there's been times in my life where the voice inside is so bitter and so angry and so judgmental of not only myself but others. And I've also had times in my life where that, you know, the I am, right, is able to be one with my earthly consciousness, right? It's much easier for me to witness from the place of my soul that I am, right? It's a lot easier for me to witness when the earthly me is becoming separated. And then there's times where that bitch is way back there and she's not invited to this party today, you know?
Yeah.
But
No doubt.
I think what I was going to say a few minutes ago was I think self-exploration is the act of love.
Yeah.
So I feel like my personal belief is it's kind of like the girl, what's her name? She does the home organizing and decluttering and all of that.
Maria Kondo.
Okay, yeah.
Does it bring you joy?
Marie Kondo.
The one thing I
I
will
knew
say,
that.
it's a little like, okay, girl, you're a bit extra.
But
I
it
do
worked.
love what she does.
So
she
cute.
says, hold the item against you, and if it does not bring you joy, like I want this in my life, right? Then get rid of it.
Toss it.
Okay. Self-exploration should be the exact same mentality.
Yep.
Don't think about what the church has told you. Don't think about what society has told you. Politics, music, TV,
even your friends,
leaders, your friends, your parents, anybody in your world. Don't do that. Ask yourself truly and fully, is this a decision that feels right with my heart? You are going to get an answer. And so I feel like if there is something that you are being nudged towards, go do it. Especially if it's going to allow you to know you better. Because when you know you better, you know God better. When you know God better, you know other people better. And it just becomes this full encompassing relationship with everybody.
Yeah. And that's how that one little world, or like you were talking about last week, the one little cup affects the whole.
That's right.
Outside of the cup.
That's right.
Well, man.
Beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as the energy, I think that a lot could be like you guys talking about all the energy work of holding this or the machine you were saying. We're talking about the food. That's what I think could really, where the food does really help on this spiritual conversation we're talking about. We have a channel. We are all antennas. You can take this to the tribes of anywhere in the world. This is what they were talking about with intuition. And I think that if we all just broke that down, like you were just talking about, Josh, using that voice and opening our minds to other ways to learn what we've been taught, we would have that antenna because it's telling us in everything we're reading so much. Everything. Have you guys seen Bird Box?
Yes.
To me, that's what that movie's saying. You put the blindfold on and you don't look, and she's following her to her paradise world. And it's the same kind of thing what you were just talking about, Josh. This concept is throughout all of history.
And I'll put, and she gets there on a river, which goes through is what also our snake, our spine, our I love that part. And she goes to a place that's already there, and there are already people. So she's not the first person, and this has been going on for a while. We don't know how long. That's kind of how I think we feel here. And we look forward to getting to that place. And when we get there, there are more like us. And not that people not like us are good or bad. This is just where we're supposed to end up. And I don't know, it gives, I don't know, I think it's pretty a good way to look at heaven on earth, maybe, or creating your own heaven.
Mindset. It's all a mindset.
Yeah. Attitude.
Oh, attitude and mindset are everything. So Tina Naughton says, "Hey, loves, I have just realized over the past couple of weeks that for the last 4 months, I've literally been living in survival mode and am having difficulty shifting from this. Much to do with my career and what I do every day." And she works in the funeral home industry.
Oh, wow.
And so she's just, surrounded by, and there's so many changes that are happening in that.
Right.
People are passing, and early on you couldn't have funerals for them and services, and
the instability
she's really
alone.
she's really seeing the impact of COVID.
And she says, I've been living from a place of survival mode. I feel like there's such a negative stigma around the act of that. Sometimes it's fucking necessary.
Yeah, it is.
We just went through a pandemic. We're still going through it. There are hundreds of thousands of people dying.
Yeah.
Survival mode is necessary, especially when you work in a funeral home or on the front lines or in the hospitals, or you're an essential worker. You just head down and fucking go, right?
Yeah.
We just have to, sometimes it's just what is necessary.
It's okay.
I don't think that we should feel like, I love Tina, and it's not a great feeling because it's kind of like how we talked about relapse last week, right? It's like, well, I know that this sucks, and it sucks so much more because before the pandemic, you're also like, damn, life was really good, and I took it all for granted. And now I'm here, and this doesn't feel so good. I want to get back to how this was back here because that was much better than this, right? So that's gonna heighten the feeling around all of this. Your survival mode also feels shittier because it feels like you are. I mean, this is surreal life. It doesn't feel right. So, but I just want to give her a little love and baby, it's necessary sometimes. So don't be hard on yourself for feeling the way that you've been feeling.
Right.
Yeah. And she's mentally exhausted. So Steph, Nate, what are some things, we talked about meditation. That's probably one area that could help Tina if she could just quiet her mind. I know that, breathing. What are there some certain foods that she could be focusing on that can help calm, give her more energy, those types of things?
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely that. One thing that I've come across that, like, the law of attraction became a thing, right? And it's a thing. So, but it led me to the laws of the universe and the Kabbalah, and all is mental.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh, you just touched on something that is, it's in all of the books too, and the Bible as well. And this is the hard part to accept, is that yin yang symbol. And there's nothing really, it's knowing what to do with the negative. It's a part of where we are. It's taken me a while to really grasp this, and I can't grasp too hard because now I'm leading to where I'm going with it. Buddha would say everything is fleeting, nothing is permanent. That's in the Bible, this too shall pass. Same thing. So it's hard, we shouldn't cling to anything, right? And whatever Tina's going through is something that, to me, understanding that all is mine, so her perspective of it, her interpretation of it is what it's going to be for her. If she's saying this is only going to last for a while, maybe it's not for her. And that's starting to come to her. Because I'll be honest, there's certain jobs, hers being one, this body that I'm in, I'm not built for that. I'm not built to be numerous of these things. I don't do the best with blood. There's certain things that you're just not built for. I'm not saying that about her personally right now, but
She should be proud of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
be proud of it, and that's what I mean. So yeah, Josh, thank you.
Yeah. And she
her mental
is.
state, be proud and you know you're a warrior each day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that.
One
Tina,
thing
you're a warrior.
Yeah.
Yes, one
and put on
thing-
your armor. I'll go there.
and I'll let you go, Seth. But one thing that you asked, what could help? This is for anybody watching. Breathing technique. It's
Yes.
right to left, alternating. You can go to the bathroom. It takes 2 minutes, but you take your finger like this and you put it to your nose, and you're going back and forth like this. So it's one side, close, blow out.
And fill your chest cavity.
Inhale back on this,
Fill it all up when you're breathing in.
close, blow out.
Empty it all out. And like we've all seen the meme, breathe in the good, breathe out the bad.
But the alternating breathing is that chamber of our nasal cavity. You are cleansing the oxygen of your brain. And it's something I just came across because I opened my mind to meditation. And literally, it helps so much. One of the players that I played with or coached, Tommy, that just got drafted to the NFL, uses this. It is effective. It's real. So, Tina, go to the
Breathe.
bathroom in those moments. It will at least get you through that time, that hell.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because you're living through hell at times. And that's what I was going to get at that's what's in the Bible. That's what's in these stories. It's there. The bad is here, and we have to me, that's what a guy like Bruce Lee, the Asians and Taoists, some of them have mastered this in our face of taking all that energy and grounding that negative and focusing everything else at certain points in your life.
The joy.
Yeah.
Where you have joy. So anytime too, I would say that you're thinking you're down. This sweet man that I work with, his name is Sam. He has on his desktop a little instant pick me up, and it's a picture of a baby chimpanzee. And I think that's beautiful, A, that he has that there, and B, I mean, baby animals lift us all up, or baby pictures or pictures of your loved ones. So have that nearby, I would say, and glance over and look at the things that you're grateful for. That's so cliche, but it really does make us smile. And when we can smile, our whole body lights up and knows what we're doing and feels that joy. And I would say, as far as foods go, one of my favorite things for when I'm feeling down is cashews, cashew milk, roasted red peppers. Those have a lot of great antioxidants and mood lifting properties in them. Fill yourself up with vegetables that have tons of water, cucumbers right now, watermelons. They're all mood enhancing.
Well,
make
and
sure
that's
you're hydrated.
in the energy code. They talk about that as well. They said that eating like a bowl of oranges and pineapple has a radical ability to completely elevate your mood.
Sure.
And
I love pineapple.
Nate and Steph, breathing is such a huge art for me. And anytime I'm feeling, I just went through an experience the other day where there was an intense moment that Manny and I were going through. And I remember I was just we were both like shaking. And I just went and grabbed him and I was like, you got to breathe with me. And it's like our breaths just started to mimic each other. Within 2 minutes, we were completely back down to where we needed to be. I think the other thing that I love so much about breathing is it automatically causes you to be present.
Bingo.
When you have to focus on this and focus on this, and you're breathing in and exhaling out. And for me, it's breathe in for 5, hold for 5, release for 5. And I'm going, peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. So, but what that is, though, to come full circle, is it's remembering.
Reset.
Wow.
Yes.
It's remembering, right? I am not this situation. I am not this emotion. I am not this fear thought. I am not this. I am perfection.
Right?
I am love. I am here. I am worthy. I am seen. Whatever it is, right? And, to Tina again, I think also remember, baby, that you are the creator of your world. If you so choose to change survival into thrive, then so choose it. And that's possible. Breathing, baby chimpanzees, whatever it is for you.
Well, and Tina, remember the situation is neutral. And I know that's hard because we are not neutral beings. No one, it's fresh in my mind because I just heard Jim say it this weekend. And you know how he talks about tough situations that are neutral and then we assign meaning to it.
Yeah.
But you've got to get yourself to a neutral place so that you can assign an empowering meaning. So does that mean that these tough situations that you see every day with these families, what's the empowering meaning that can lead you to a place of peace and rest? Yes, Allie McGee says, set your intention. I have to scroll back up. Tina, we love you.
Right.
Thank you so much for watching. She said that we're great
Thank you.
and that she said thank you. She's taking notes. So Allie McGee says, I had the exact heaviness when the Black Lives Matter issue became to the front. I felt the collective hurt, but as your diet is everything you ingest, TV, news, social media, the people you keep around
What we
you,
talked about last week.
you have to watch
Energy.
for the energy suckers. I recently had an experience that opened my eyes to some of my toxic behaviors creeping back, and I had to have a come to Jesus moment, which I just needed to touch back into spirit. She's meditating and she is listening. I think that's the biggest part of what you guys are saying, right? If if you are meditating and you're breathing, you're not in reaction. We live in a world
You're
where
in
as soon
creation.
as something happens, instead of being in creation, you are in reaction to what is happening. And that's where it's like a race to the bottom. We just one reaction triggers another reaction from somebody else, and then another reaction, and then another thing. And you end up with chaos and mess.
Yes.
Yeah, and your body, I mean we have to talk about the physical, like, if you're having pain, if you're, more tired than usual, those are all physical symptoms too of the emotions. So make sure you're addressing that as well, and taking care of your body and lifting those things from yourself.
Yeah, we just touched on, and man, you can tie it to diet, cause and effect. Back to the laws of the universe. This is in our face, it's in all the books. But cause and effect, how are you going to react? And we're tied in a matrix, a system, whatever you would like to call it, where you have a choice. This is my opinion. They give us Pepsi and Coke, and Democrats, Republicans, you have consumer creator.
Yes.
And you're going to really consume a lot and take in a lot, or you're going to say, no, I'm going to create a lot in my world. So I know that's tougher though. Sometimes I struggle saying that because some people are in a situation, definitely being younger kids, with certain parents where they have to follow certain rules or consume what is being brought on them. And I think I say that as a white guy, to be honest, because sometimes it's easier for us to go create, so to speak. I can say that in my opinion, honestly, that makes any sense. But yeah, we react way too much. I think that's on purpose, as far as we're being bombarded with info. We live somewhere where they're making money off 24-hour networks, whether it's sports or news. So these commercials are contracted. They have to be sold. And if you are turning that on or not conscious, like who was it, Amy, you just said? Not conscious of your intake of your phone or whatever, in my opinion, you are opening a door to super consumption. I mean, it's now to where we could on air right now say Oreo, and we're all going to have an ad for Oreos when we get off air. So you're just opening up for being bombarded with consume this, where I feel, Ali, bless you, you're stepping aside and you're creating your own matrix, which is just a mindset,
Yeah.
I would say too, I touched a little bit on it, but be the observer. Not just the, you know, just like we say we're souls with physical bodies, you know, spirits having a physical experience. Step back into that spiritual being and observe the physical. That's the same, you know, just another way to say it. And that's another way to step into your power and, you know, really grasp the light that's inside of you. It doesn't burn out. It's always there. You come from the darkness. You are the light. You know, it's you're always both.
I want to
Don't forget
elaborate
that.
on a little bit of what you just said, Steph, was because, and I think sometimes, right, we need to remember to teach from a place of our first steps. There was a book that I read, and I think it was in the book, The Untethered Soul.
That's a
And was it that book? Anyways, it doesn't matter. He was trying to help you understand your earthly consciousness and the I am, the soul. How do you witness? What are you talking about, right? So he basically says, he goes, we all have this inner dialogue all day long. Oh, I got to do this. I need to make this phone call. I got to make dinner. I got to feed the kids. I need to go to the bathroom. Why did I just say that? Don't sit this way. Smile like this. You know, I need to call mom, but I don't want to call
Monkey
mom.
mind.
It goes all day
the inner
long,
critic.
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But how do you hear that voice? It's because the I am is the one listening to it.
Yep.
You're conscious of the voice because you're hearing it from, he calls it your inner roommate, right? So that voice, she's a bitch and she's my roommate, and I don't like living with this roommate all the time, right?
Some people
But
name theirs.
the I am, the person who owns this apartment, who owns this house, right? Who has to be living with this roommate is the one that has to listen to the shitty roommate all the time. But the I am is it's your soul consciousness. It's perfect love. It's the energy. It's the always was and always will be. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want people to understand, like when we say witness from a place of your divinity or your spirituality or from your wholeness, that's what we mean. When we talk about meditation, when we talk about breathing, it's getting out of the earthly self and into my divine self, the perfect connection to God. So a lot of times, you know, and the other thing too is that what Amber said, when we talk about neutrality, right? Every experience on life is neutral. We just pick and choose the meaning that it deserves. One of my favorite, one of the things that blew my effing mind was I was, you know, again, heartache can really cause somebody to reach and try to find answers, right? And so I was in a really big self-discovery mode around the beginning of this year. I read something I didn't even remember who said it, but he goes, our first mistake with loss or the reason why we feel loss is because we believed incorrectly that we owned something.
Nate.
Yep.
Oh my God.
when we feel loss, it's because we made the poor assumption that it was ours.
Yep. We own nothing
on this planet is ours. This body is not even mine.
No.
I'm renting this bitch before I jump into the next one. Right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
the
sir.
best way to get out of that one, I feel like, is gratitude. I'm grateful for every living moment with this person because it's not mine and it's a gift. Every minute I get with you is a gift. And when it's gone, yes, it sucks because I enjoyed this so much. I loved this so much, but rather feel the loss of it. I'm going to celebrate the experience that I have with it.
Yes.
Which
Nate?
means, Cindy, was it Cindy? No. Who was it? Naughton?
Allie.
Tina.
Which means, right? Life was great. It feels like loss because we had gotten adjusted and used to a certain norm or familiarity. That does not mean that there's any less beauty and
what's to come
in what we're living right now.
Right. And it
don't
wasn't
you
real in the first place.
right? And don't you appreciate it when you don't have the attachment?
Yes.
Like, look, if
Yes.
if it's not a thing that is like marriage, I feel the same way. But I also know that I am in zero control of what happens in my marriage. One of us could pass away. One of us could wake up one day and decide, I'm out. I just have no attachment to what tomorrow brings, because today we are together, and today it would hurt. There would be grief. There's all these things. It is my intention that we are together until the end, but there could be other plans out there that are not mine. And so if I appreciate, and this goes for anybody, I just lost my grandmother. Yes, there were some attachment issues. Like, I was really sad because now she's not going to be there. And I know it's going to cause my grandfather pain. However, I can't be attached, because the time that I had with her was a gift. And now she gets to go be in a place of bliss that, God only knows what she's doing up there.
And she's with you.
Yeah, and she's with me. We were just talking about this today with a friend of mine who lost her son, and to a very awful car accident in LA, actually. And he is here stronger now in spirit than he was in the physical.
Wow.
He is showing up in places, for instance, like his sister lives in up north. They're in she's in the Yosemite, and this person that she's talking to lives in another state, and somehow they know her brother. She knew her brother.
I
Like,
love when
what?
that happens.
What? Like, I just thought it was amazing. Like, his spirit's so much bigger than your physical body.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and the attachment thing that you're bringing up, Amber, love, like you're speaking of not being attached to love. That's where I started struggling with Buddhism, where I got to that. Alan Watts, that we spoke about last week, kind of helps with that. And it's about enjoyment. If you understand joy and actually faith is not having attachment to anything and still knowing, if there is a such thing as knowing.
Right.
That's a whole nother discussion.
We don't know.
But as far as like we have touched so much on energy, and like you just spoke of your grandmother that passed and another person that passed. We're speaking about somebody that works at a morgue. This energy, Josh, you spoke about it a touch. What is that? Why do they have to go clear and shock us? What is that dun 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 that's inside a female early? What is this spark? I can wake up in bed and just lay there like a dead body. What is this? And where do all those thoughts come from? This is the anama. We call it God in Christianity. And when that passes, this is where I got to be able to understand, don't be attached to my daughters, even to Stephanie, even as far as love. And it's still, the thought of it is tough, but it's that physical earth that you're actually attached to. Don't be of this earth. And then you understand the energy, that the stars are there, the moon is there, the sun is there, and we're all made of the same stuff. That is, I am that. I am the sun. I am the moon. I'm the sand. I am Stephanie. Da, da, da. All those people that just passed that you spoke of, they're bouncing, right? Their energy that's bouncing back and forth. And that's my favorite part of the stories, to be honest. We spoke a lot about water earlier, Amber, you did, and you brought the moon up. So I just have to bring this back in. We are all of those stars as well. There's every ancient tribe practice this. The moon is a certain chakra. It depends on who you're speaking about. In Judaism, Saturn is here, and it's because there's your as above, so below. And those things are packaged in this little vehicle you spoke about, Josh.
We are the universe inside of our bodies.
And understanding that, to me, seeing that whole picture helps deal with death. Period.
Yeah. Sometimes you tell people that you're made of stars. or you're made of the galaxy and or the same stuff that create, and people are like, okay, this dude is so weird. Here's a way to help you understand. They also know that we are 75% made of water.
Come on.
I don't look like water.
Right.
Right. So why is it so astronomically hard for us to understand or think that it's even possible that we aren't made of the same things that are in the galaxy?
Exactly.
And it's found in us. It's found in our blood. It's found in our tissues. I mean, the same minerals that make up all the planets are found in us. And that's enough for me.
And what does
God created all those things, so why wouldn't they be a part of us?
It is all one.
How is it not? How is it not? Like, he is in us, he is us. So therefore we are all those things also, because he created that too.
Yes.
Right?
I love this saying from the Kava Lion. We are in the all, and the all is in us, but we are not the all.
Yeah.
So
say that again.
We are in the all is in us, but we are not the all. However, then there's the laws of nature and the law of opposites. And we were talking about this earlier, and Nate would say, oh, but yes, we are. So there's three sides to everything.
And speak, like, for instance, water. You just said we're 75% water. Water can give you life or drown you.
Mm-hmm.
There's two sides to everything. But anyway, so like you said, Josh, we're so much water in this body. And we know that the moon causes tides. It moves an entire ocean. So where do we think this werewolf mythology came from?
The separateness.
It's about us. It's one reason hydration is important. Seriously, because of what the moon is doing to us. It's also causing us to grow. We're naive to think it's not the same with the sun. We watch it right now.
Which is exactly how astrology works. Where were the planets, the stars, and the moon when you, at the time and place that you were born, has the effect on your energy field the same way the moon does with water. And that's what dictates your personality being able to almost be decoded, is because there are similarities at certain times, certain places, certain months where the moon does certain things to every human that causes the energy field to develop certain human characteristics.
Sure.
Yep.
But hold on.
You're not going to be all of them, right? You're just going to be what speaks to you.
From there, it's mine. From after that.
There's another, this is a whole nother topic, but Steph, you'll appreciate this. So men cycle on a 24-hour cycle. They cycle with the sun. Women cycle with the moon. So for us, it's 25 to 31 day cycle, whatever that looks like for a normal woman not on any contraceptives or birth control or anything. And if anybody's interested, it's called In the Flow. It's this crazy, amazing book that I read and podcasts and everything. It talks about what food you're supposed to put in your body around the time of the month that you're in for those 4 phases, but it follows the moon cycle. And it's a fascinating situation because I've never felt better. And there's a time in my cycle where I should not even be around human beings.
It's factual.
There's a 36-hour window where stuff tanks, and I need to eat a lot of green apples.
It's moonstration. It's right there in the word. Just buy a vow. You guys have heard of that. But seriously, tomorrow's moon day. So much of this is right there, like how important it is. It's hidden in plain sight, as we've heard.
So
So
there's two things that I wanted to cover before we hop off, and it's fine to go over 3 things because Allie posted something that I think is really impactful. So Nate, you talked about the law of attraction and how, so what I believe is, so if we surround ourselves or even are ourselves falling to victimhood, so everything is happening to me. I'm not in creation. I'm not able to control the things that are happening. Therefore, I attract more of the same. So only more chaos happens, only more, only more things are not working in my life. So that's why it's important to get back to neutrality, so you can assign a different meaning that empowers you, so you can attract more of the things that you want to create that heaven on earth experience.
Mm-hmm.
So
and if you're always in victimhood, you attract other victims. I never met somebody who is a life victim hanging out with possible creative people. They hang out with other fucking victims.
right.
You have to, if you want a brighter world, you need to brighten up your insides.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a
Create
victim.
it.
You are what you create. It's a choice.
Yeah.
It starts with you. So Allie says in the book, Stillness Speaks, when you receive whoever comes into the space of now as a noble guest, when you allow each person to be as they begin to change. Also, some people become deeply peaceful and almost luminous just before they die. It's as if something shining through the dissolving form.
Wow. That's
I
beautiful.
think that's really important. I think that's important. And we always, most of us, I won't say everybody, most of us like to know or feel like we have the answers to life. Nobody does, right? When you're in a place of self-exploration, I feel like sometimes it's not the easiest to say, hey, I'm trying on this new hat. It feels unfamiliar. I need a little grace right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I'm wearing new tennis shoes, essentially. I'm running through life with a brand new pair of shoes on that they're not quite broken in. They feel a little unfamiliar. I feel good in them. They make me look pretty. I feel better about myself, but they're not broken in and comfortable quite yet. It is okay to ask for the people who love you the most to give you some space. And that's what Allie was, she just read right there. It's when you invite somebody in as a noble guest, like that is powerful shit.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I think that's also a great reminder to what I have to remind myself of in order to stay humble with people who are starting out on their journey, is meet them where they are as well. Invite them into your noble space, knowing that they feel your unconditional love as much as you possibly can. We all have bad days, la la la. But if you're working with people, if you're going to be around, the people that need you and need your help and need your heart, remind yourself of that. I would say that's the noble
if you're in
space.
communion with somebody who's going through becoming awake, right? They're going through their first steps or first phase of the remembering, right? How do we get to understand what matters most to them? It's being in discovery. You can't throw everything you've learned on top of people all at one time. No. Right? It's find out, be in discovery to what's needed and wanted from this person who is in their own journey of self-discovery, and support that.
Yep.
Support that. And
hope.
You can walk with them and support them, because anytime somebody feels bombarded, what happens? They shut down. Right? Oh, no, that was too much. That world's not for me. Right?
Oh, yeah. The judgments start to go flying. Nate and Steph and I often talk about this. There are very few people in the world that we can talk the way that we talk about the seeking of religion that we're doing, the understanding we're trying to get to, this level of knowing and curiosity that we have about things that were taught to us, but we have a lot of questions about, and you got to kind of feel it out coming from their frame of reference, their understanding. How much of this can they take before I scare them off completely?
Right. Definitely. Just baby steps, just like with everything else, baby steps, and listen.
Yeah.
I think too, for me, if I'm still in a constant discovery mode myself, and I can kind of I tie this to my sports background. I tried to learn, I was going to be a coach. I tried to learn everything I could, even from the bad coaches. So I can learn from anybody there's stuff that my 5-year-old might say that will make me think, what? So, and I've learned this like literally in my own life with like people that I work with or whatnot, where I'll get in these discussions and I understand, okay, I'll just talk about this. I don't need to slap them with, the planets are your chakras and or
Right.
whatever. Meet them here. And then the next thing I know, a week later, they'll come to me and say, Nate, have you heard this?
Yeah.
And now I'm going, no. So I think that's God that we've talked about in everything, everywhere. Yeah, some of the most simple things, if you're really paying attention, can grab your attention.
Well, and I think
Yeah.
that's God. We talked about it yesterday in our text message thread. It was one of the things that I referenced was the movie The Shack.
Oh.
And the black woman Octavia something, she plays the character of God, and she explains to him in the movie, right, she explains to him in the movie that she came as the woman from his childhood, the neighbor lady that kind of gave him some love, the mom role in his life because he didn't have one. And the reason why God was showing up in that physical form for this experience that he was going through, which was the murder and the raping of his daughter, was because he knew that he needed to have mom. So if we look at our experiences and if we look at our relationships, God shows up. And if you listen, the right person could be a stranger, someone at the grocery store, a loved one. Sometimes we just channel things and it's meant to be heard. So if you're in self-exploration, I think that your life deserves becoming present. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Take a minute, meditate, eat the right things, and listen to the whole world around you, because you are being talked to every day, all day.
Yeah.
It is weird.
Go out in nature, right? And go out in nature. Ground yourself. Hug a tree. Everyone
Put
thinks
your
it's
feet in the
crazy.
grass.
Yeah, that's energy
For real.
too. Connect with it. And
It just
I
made me
love,
think of,
we were talking about breathing too. I have to mention Wim Hof. Do you guys know about Wim Hof? Okay, so you have to check him out. He's amazing. He's proven that he can beat viruses injected into his body with science, with his breathing techniques, with his he helps
that
people
was like
He's amazing.
Dr. Wayne Dyer was the same way.
Okay, I know a little bit about Wayne, but I don't know that part.
He's
He
an
was able to
extremist.
throw himself. He was able to throw himself in 32-degree water and swim across the lake and get out without shivering, and his body temperature not even changing.
Okay, yeah.
All because
That's
Same.
Wim Hof
directed
stuff.
it.
Yeah.
Is mind over
Wow.
matter, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure
I
many
didn't know
other
that about
people,
Wayne.
but yeah, Wim is teaching other people to do it, and he's actually letting them do the studies on his body, which I think again will promote this effort that we're all behind to help others come to know who they are.
Yeah, that's also good for your immune system, man. Extreme temperatures. That's why it's
Cold
actually a good thing
showers.
about a sauna. That little exchange there reminded me of something I wanted to tie with the whole teaching the different levels or whatnot. That whole thing ties back to the old ancient master and student. That's on the student. And I was lucky enough to meet a couple people in my life, one being an actual shaman from Peru. It's about the student. No person is going to just go change another person unless it's kind of out of evil, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because, and they're trying to control that person. Otherwise, becoming good or learning this or that is about the student. The master can only lead the horse to water. That's all. So grasping that to me is a big deal. If you're trying to communicate a message to people, is understanding, just like Stephanie saying, have you heard of Wim Hof? Some will go see it, some won't. Maybe it's not meant for them, but
But maybe they'll go
That's
see Wayne Dyer.
right.
It's kind of like it's kind of like when we feel the need to justify and defend our beliefs, right? It's because we're not sitting on stable ground. And it's the same theory behind it's the same theory behind you know, the teacher not really being there in support of the student, right? It's dumping this knowledge, dumping everything I know. It's really fear and a sincere lack of not feeling steady with where you are. If you were firm in your beliefs, you would not feel the need to hear yourself talk about it.
Killing it.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the good shepherd.
Right.
You know, there's good and bad.
Okay, I have to do this. I've got 4% battery left on my phone. Nate,
we could go all night, right?
Privilege, man. You guys are truly awakened. And it has been a pleasure over the past 2 weeks to explore and talk and learn and share and love and expand and all the great things with you two. Amber, you know I love you, baby. On the Truth Revival on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Next week, are we
Who
on next
knows?
week?
Who knows? Who knows?
You guys are awesome.
We love you guys. Thank you. We're still
Love
learning.
Do you have any
Thank you
questions
so
for the
much for
person
having
that-
us.
Be well.
Of course.
Thank
For you
you.
guys that are at home, if you have any questions, if you need any reminders, if you need connections with any type of knowledge, if there's something that's intriguing you that you want to know more about, if there's anything we can do to help you out and along your journey and show up for you with the best way we know how, feel free to reach out, send us a message, and we'll be in touch.
Sounds good. Thank you. See you guys.
Bye, guys.
Have a great week.
Peace.
Love.